Well, good morning. A wonderful Friday morning for all of us. The end of the week, the end of the working week is close. And thank you to all of you for joining me for this pretty much penultimate session of the European Research Day 2020, organized by Euraxesss ASEAN. My name is Susanne Rentzow-Vasu. Some of you may have seen me throughout the week. I've been hosting the various sessions. And I'm very excited that I'm the last speaker. And I think what I'll be able to present you today is going to be very useful to you. I'm doing this by myself. I don't have a moderator, so be a little bit patient with me, please. I'll have to do the presentation and also handle the Q&A. I want to give you lots of information today on where you can find information about the funding, about the career opportunities in Europe, and also where you can find potential collaborators. So I will start sharing my screen now. You can ask questions in the question box, and every 10-15 minutes or so I will take a break and look at the questions that have come in and answer them. So I'll start sharing my screen, and I want to show you what we have in store today. So basically, what I want to do today is to show you 4 websites that I think are incredibly important for you as researchers, and they have really all the information that you're looking for. First of all, we will look at the Euraxis Portal. This is where you will find research jobs, career support. You'll find information about what's happening in Europe, and you will find contact details to reach out to potential collaborators. Afterwards, I want to introduce you to the participant portal. This is where you will find information about big European funding programs. Currently, this is called Horizon 2020, and you will find calls for you to join research consortia on that page. Then I want to introduce you to CORDIS. It's not a very intuitive name, but what it is, it's basically a database of all projects that have in the past 30 years received funding from the European Union. So it's a great tool for you to find out who in your country, for example, is part of EU-funded projects, so that you can reach out to them and find out from their experience how to draft an application and maybe how to join in ongoing collaborations. And at the end, I want to zoom in on one particular EU-funded program, the MSCA, which offers opportunities for PhD and postdoc research in Europe. And I think this is a very beneficial program, so I want to spend a little time explaining that to you. So as I said, we're going to have a very hands-on session today. So I'm going to start with the first page, which is the Euraxis Portal. Now, the Euraxis Portal, yes, I accept cookies. I love chocolate cookies, so I'm accepting those. What is the Euraxis Portal? The Euraxis Portal, first of all, to tell you who's behind it. Behind it is the European Commission. They are funding this project. And currently 37, I just recounted this morning, 37 European countries that are part of the so-called European Research Area. Now, what is the European Research Area? Because you might know that there are only 27 member states of the European Union, so this is different. The European Research Area is a joint European effort to create like a common space for researchers, a common space for research, innovation, science, and technology. So the idea is to create this joint space that researchers can collaborate with each other without any hurdles. So we have joint research infrastructures. We have, of course, a shared research agenda, which is called currently Horizon 2020. And of course, there's also a joint pot of funding to fund all these research projects. Again, this is currently Horizon 2020. Europe always works in segments of 7 years. Horizon 2020 started in 2014. and terminates at the end of this year, but it will be succeeded by the next big program, which is going to be called Horizon Europe, and you've probably heard about this already. So the first calls under Horizon Europe will be starting to be launched at the beginning of next year. Now, all these countries that are part of the European research area, they have realized over the years, we need to eradicate these barriers that make it difficult for researchers to collaborate and to move around. And this is very much where Euraxis comes in as a tool to make this mobility and collaboration of researchers easier. So Euraxis is this online portal here, and you can see here at the top, it offers all kinds of services and information for users, and the users are you, the researchers. Most importantly, what you find here in one very convenient space is information about funding. So if we just click here, for example, on find jobs, and just to elaborate, you don't need to be a member for this part of the Euraxis portal. You don't need to log in. You can just access this at your own leisure. So if we look on find jobs, this will list the opportunities in these 37 countries and beyond that I've just mentioned. So you can see here, there are opportunities in all academic disciplines. So if you can filter this, of course, by research field. And just as a word of reassurance, of course, the social sciences are part of this project as much as the natural sciences. You can filter this also by research profile. So if you are a first stage researcher, that would be someone who's looking for a PhD opportunity, or you might already be an established or a leading researcher and you're looking for opportunities. And you can see this is, there are opportunities at every career stage, and you can also search by country. So here are the opportunities currently on the portal according to the various countries. Let me just pick a country. We could, for example, pick Sweden, and we want to see what does Sweden have on offer currently. So I just click on search here, and this will come up, for example, with this postdoc opportunity here in graphical models at KTH Royal Institute in Sweden. We can click on this because I want to show you the information that's provided. You can see this is in the research field of mathematics. You will find a description of what the institution here is looking for in the applicant, what they're offering to you, the qualification requirements, but maybe here at the top important where to apply, and you click on here. This will lead you to the link where you can submit your application. So I'm going to close this here, and I want to show you something else which is important, and this is this little icon here, post office. Now, I think not only the European Commission, but pretty much any research funding agency in the world realizes that talent mobility only works if it's circular. We cannot afford to have research talent distributed unevenly across the globe. There is no benefit for everyone. So what we want to achieve is, you know, a circular talent movement. And this is why this is interesting, because it also offers an opportunity for you as research institutions, researchers in Malaysia, in Pakistan, wherever you are based, to use this portal to post your own offers. This is free of charge. The only thing that you will have to do is you will have to sign in and register on the network. So if we go, for example, if we look back to find jobs, I want to just show you an example. If we go back to country, for example, you will see that there are countries that are clearly not part of Europe. For example, Zimbabwe here, even they have an opportunity posted on the portal if you're interested, an agricultural economist working in Zimbabwe. So this is an opportunity for you too, to use this platform to reach out to potential employees, potential PhD students, postdocs, faculty members at your institutions. The Euraxis portal also gives you a lot of information. And for example, if you were interested in one of these job opportunities that we found on the portal just now, we looked at Sweden, there was an opportunity there. You may want to look at the so-called national portals. And this is this little tab here. And this shows you the 37 European countries that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that are part of Euraxis. And you will probably quickly zoom in on this country here at the bottom, the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is a Euraxis member. I do hope that they will remain a Euraxis member even after Brexit is concluded. But you will find here, this is just an example of one of these Euraxis country pages, all the information that are specifically related to research in this particular Euraxis member country. So again, you can find job opportunities here in the UK. You can also find funding opportunities. Here is a funding database, specifically if you're interested in collaborations or mobility with the United Kingdom. You will also find essential information that is relevant to carrying out research in this particular Euraxis country, the research landscape, what's it like living in the UK, how to find accommodation, but also once you're finished with your research stay, what kind of steps you need to take to leave the UK to go back to your own home country, if that is in your career path. So once again, lots of information on these individual pages. And of course, as I said, we have them for 37 Euraxis member countries. Euraxis also, besides the jobs and the funding, offers you career development. So as I said, this is a tool that's been created for researchers, and the aim is to help you advance your research career. So you find on this particular segment, which has just been launched a couple of months ago, lots of tools and information that will help you in your career development. So we have sections here for researchers like yourselves, but we also have a particular section here for organizations if you need some additional support in providing career development for the researchers at your own institution. So I'm not going to click on this, it'll take too long, but you can do this at your own leisure. But you will find, for example, a career orientation tool. There's a career handbook here. And of course, it will link you also to training resources. There are courses on there, online courses that you can choose to help map out your career and to also maybe to identify where do you want to be in 5, 10, 15 years time from now. And you can see here, there's also specific career development segments for you to work, for example, with industry. If you want to make a sectoral mobility move, you want to move away from academia and work for an industry partner, for example, there are specific resources available here. For all of this, once again, you do not need to register, but I want to encourage you to register for this. Once you've registered, and of course you can see I already have, this is me here, this is my profile, and this would be my researcher profile. And I want to encourage you to register for this and to create your own researcher profile. I've only done this quite haphazardly because, you know, my research career is pretty much behind me. But as you can see, it gives you a wonderful opportunity to make yourself visible for the rest of the network members. And you need to register in order to use this tool here, the partnering tool. Now, if I, as a registered member, click on Find Members, I have access to the 27,360 individuals that are already part of Euraxis. And of course, why do I want to do this? I want to see, are there potential collaborators out there? Are there people that work in the same field? Is there someone out there who might have a job for me? Now we can look at this. So for example, I looked earlier on, for example, this here is one member, Marco Radi. He is from Italy, and we can just look at his profile and you could see what your profile would look like. So this is where he's living. He's currently at the University of Parma at the Food and Drug Department. He's an associate professor and he has attached his CV. Why do you want to attach your CV? Because people might be looking for potential collaborators or potential employees. So he has, of course, been very diligent here. These are his job preferences. He's looking for a job in a public research institution in drug discovery. He has, as I said, already attached his CV, but here is once again a little summary of who he is. And also he is giving information about his collaboration that he's already engaged in. So he has participated in EU-funded projects, and here are his contact details. So once again, a wonderful opportunity for you as specifically as an early career researcher to become visible. This is very important. For example, when it comes to research consortia that are funded by the European Union, very often specific calls for proposal are asking for collaborators in certain parts of the world. So a call will say, this project needs collaborators in Malaysia, in Thailand, and in Tanzania. So then if there might be an organization in, let's say, France and Germany, and they're looking for collaborators, they will use the Euraxis portal to identify potential researchers in those 3 target countries. So it creates visibility for yourself. And if I go back here to the partnering, of course, we have also organizations that are using the Euraxis portal. So 17,841 organizations are using the Euraxis portal as well. So if you are posting your CV here and they are looking for a researcher to work in their company, to work in their department, they may be contacting you. So it's a wonderful opportunity to increase your network. Now for this, you need to register, as I said. I have already registered. This is why my Euraxis has already been enabled for me. The registration process is extremely easy, and your data, of course, is protected under European law. Even though you're not in the European Union, it's protected under European law, so all your personal data is secure. So just to summarize, jobs and funding, you can find jobs, you can post your own offers, you can find funding, and you can also find hosting. I'll click on this, and you could see, for example, there is the university in Italy, IIT CLNS, and they are looking for a researcher in optics, light scattering, in whatever their domain is. So obviously another great source to find out who in Europe is looking for potential applicants. So this hosting database, once again, a wonderful opportunity for you to find out where the opportunities are. So here, for example, this would lead you to an opportunity in Turkey. This is a project funded under the Marie Skłodowska Reactions, and I know this project. This is an opportunity for postdoctoral research, so you would be able to do postdoc research in Turkey with this fellowship. So jobs and funding, you can find a job, you post a job, you find funding, you find hosting. Career development, you can use the online resources to map out your career. You can also get support for your career development. Partnering, you can find members, you can reach out to potential collaborators, you can post your CV, to make yourself known to potential recruiters. You have a lot of information and assistance on living in Europe, working in Europe, and as I said, on the national portals, specifically that information related to all these 37 countries that you might be interested in. I want to just quickly go back to one country. In this case, I've just randomly chosen Switzerland, so it just looks like this. Of course, there's always information currently on the coronavirus outbreak in case you're wondering, you know, what would it be like if you get a fellowship to work in Switzerland? Could you actually go there? How would your funding be affected by the current situation? But why I wanted to show this to you is also we have these so-called Euraxis centers. And Euraxis centers is this network of Euraxis support offices, and they're all over Europe. And this is interesting because they are real people, and they can lend you support that would be relevant for your research mobility or your potential collaboration with researchers from that specific country. So for example, if you know there is a professor at the University of Basel, you're interested in his or her work, you want to get in touch with him or her, you could contact the Euraxis Center and ask to be supported in reaching out to that person. But of course, what their main task is helping you with your mobility move. Let's say you have been awarded a fellowship to move to Switzerland to conduct postdoc research at the University of Basel. Then the colleagues over there will help you. They will advise you on what visa you need to apply for. They will help you find accommodation in Basel. They will help you find childcare if you happen to bring children and a spouse along, for example. So they're really there to assist you on the ground, and they're also there to help you make that connection with potential collaborators. The final tab I want to show you, which I think is excellent as well, is Euraxis Worldwide. So Euraxis Worldwide is basically the interchange, or interchange? No, not interchange, the connection between Europe and its partner regions. And of course, you all, trust me, you all want to look at the Euraxis ASEAN page every day, at least once, trust me, because this is the office that I'm representing. And here you will find information that's of particular relevance to researchers that are based in Southeast Asia. So we have here news, of course. We're listing opportunities that may be of specific interest to researchers in Southeast Asia. We give you an update on what's happening in Europe that might be of interest to you. And of course, we have a specific focus on the relationship between the two regions. So for example, here is a call that's currently open that is specifically dedicated to research and science collaboration between Southeast Asia and Europe. And if you scroll further down, you find a list of our activities. So currently we're in the middle of the European Research Day, but you can see we have all kinds of other activities planned or ongoing. If you see this one here, for example, has already passed, but it's always worth clicking on it anyway, because what I do is I post the video of our events along with the presentation slides. You can also access this from here, Euraxis Worldwide. It's the advantage, I think, of the coronavirus in a way, you know, we always have to look for the positive in every bad situation, is activities are all virtual nowadays. So even though you're not, let's say, in Japan or in India, where my colleague Samrat is managing the office, you can still see what they're doing. See, they have interesting stuff. They have a webinar on collaboration with the Netherlands. They have a study in Holland virtual phase. So you can still, you know, make use of the activities that the colleagues in the other Euraxis Worldwide locations are doing. And they're all, I have to say that, fantastic team of people. Nishant in Australia, Victoria and Daniel and Charlotte in Latin America, Haldor is in China, Samrat in India, Judith in Japan, Tomasz in North Korea, and Jackson in North America. Really, so I think that was kind of my introduction to the Euraxis portal. And my summary would be, information is there. The support is there. You should sign up and you should use it. There is no shortcut. You will still have to invest some time to maneuver it and look for it, but the information is all there and the support is there as well. I think with this, I would just take a little break here. I'll stop sharing my screen and I will look at the Q&A to see whether we have something that might be needed to be answered right now. The difference between recognized and established researcher, the difference is Europe has this distinction between R1, 2, 3, and 4, and this basically depends on the experience that you have gained after obtaining your PhD. I don't want to make up any numbers, but it is explained on the Euraxis website, so you just have to read up on it. So I'm going to just continue with the second part of my presentation. And I want to introduce you to a second website. And the second website, let me just close this so we don't get confused here. The second website I want to introduce you to is called the Participant Portal. Now, the Participant Portal is basically where you find all sorts of European funding. Now, everybody is always familiar, of course, with Horizon 2020. Horizon 2020, as I've said at the beginning, this is the joint research program and the joint pot of funding that all the members of the European Union have decided on and are implementing. And under this has been worth 80 billion euros. And under this, of course, lots of calls that were open to international collaboration. Horizon 2020 is coming to an end, but will be succeeded by Horizon Europe, which will be launched just in the next couple of months, at the beginning of next year. Europe is currently in the final stages of agreeing both on the research agenda and also on the money that everybody contributes to it. But there are still some calls that are open under Horizon 2020. But before I click on this, I want to show you, of course, there are other funding programs. Erasmus Plus, for example, is one that most of you will be familiar with, but you may want to also kind of look at other opportunities that may be relevant to your specific area of research. So let's click on Horizon 2020. There's, of course, always information on this current COVID situation, because that has implications sometimes for the deadline of application, so you may want to look on this. But what is Horizon 2020? And it is very nicely summarized here for us. It is the EU funding program for research and innovation. And as I said, it comes to an end at the end of this year, but nonetheless, there are still some opportunities. Now, Horizon Europe will be very similar. And when you look at the page, once it's relaunched, it will look very similar. You will be able to look for opportunities according to the different aspects of the program. So I've just decided this morning, let us look at opportunities in a specific focus area. And I know that the European Commission has just launched the so-called Green Deal call. And I also know that the Green Deal call has lots of opportunities for international partners. International meaning countries that are not part of the European research area. That those countries, researchers and institutions from those countries can participate. So this one, for example, has just been published. You can see it opened just 3 days ago. And this is a call in the area of preventing and fighting extreme wildfires. That might be interesting, for example, for researchers in Indonesia, and I would think Malaysia. And here, when you click on this, you will find, of course, all the information about this specific call, what kind of documents you need to submit. There's submission advice here. You can get support. What I wanted to show you here as well is partner search. So there are already 18 organizations that are looking for collaborators. Before I continue, these are calls where you do not apply as an individual researcher, but your research group, your faculty, your lab might apply to collaborate in one of these calls. So I just wanted to show you, and this is interesting. You could see these are of already institutions that are interested in putting in a joint proposal. So here from Austria, from Spain, from France, this is Turkey, Spain again, this is Chile, no, sorry, this is, silly mistake, this is Switzerland, but this is Chile, exactly, Chile, then Austria again, Chile again, this is Nigeria. So lots of institutions that want to join forces and putting in a joint call. And what can you do here? Actions will give you an opportunity. You can either contact this organization and say, hey, I've seen this. I'm also really interested in this call. I want to be part of this consortium. And then you can start the collaboration. And of course, you can find more details of that particular partner. So this is the Euraxis participant portal. There are still open calls on the participant portal. So if you are an established researcher, you're not looking for a PhD, you're not looking for a postdoc, but you really want to be part of one of these heavily funded European research consortia, then the participant portal is where you should look. Now you will say, wow, this is incredible, but it's also incredibly confusing. Can I get some help? And you can. Sorry, the participant portal is always famously slow to react to prompts, as you can tell right now. Because there is, and I'm just going to do this in a different way, I'm just going to use my Google. Google is NCP Network Horizon 2020. And I want to show you this. The reason why I want to show you this is because, once again, there's lots of help out there. And these are the national contact points. Now, what are national contact points? National contact points are basically institutions and individuals in institutions that are promoting collaboration under Horizon 2020. And they are in all kinds of countries. So let's say you want to work with a specific country, or you are based in a specific country. You have in your own country also national contact points. I'll just pick some country here by, let me just see who is in Southeast Asia. Or we just, yeah, we use Indonesia. Search. All functions, it should work now. And there we have, you have a national contact point at you changed the name, the Ministry of Research, the Ministry of Technology, Research and Higher Education. And what does this person do? This person is particularly familiar with the application process for Horizon 2020 funded projects. So you could contact Nada Masoudi in this case and say, hey, I've seen this call about combating wildfires. The call is currently open. Me and my team, we want to be part of this. Please guide us through the application. And that, of course, will help you phenomenally. So you can use this national contact points network for your own support. Once again, I'm going to stop sharing my screen just to take a few questions. Let me see. Before I continue, just to reassure all of you, you will have the recording and I will provide slides. in a couple of days. So you will all get a set of slides with the links to these websites and just a basic summary of how to use this and where you can get all the support that you need. Now just let me look at the questions briefly and to see whether there's anything that needs urgent attention. Yes, we will be sharing the session. Yes, there is no, someone is asking for the calls, of course, whether there is a filter, so the calls under Horizon 2020, whether there is a filter to see which countries are eligible. There is no filter, but it will explain in the call text. So if there's a call that you're interested in, for example, the one currently on combating wildfires, you will read the call text, and in the call text, it will explain who is eligible to apply for that particular grant. Yes, once you found a collaborator, you do not need to go through Euraxis. This is entirely up to you to make the initial contact and introduce yourself to the potential collaborators and take the collaboration from there. Good, so I think with this, we will continue with our presentation. And there's a third platform that I want to introduce you to, and this is called CORDIS. And CORDIS, unfortunately, is not user-friendly, because I don't think a lot of people understand what CORDIS is. But CORDIS basically means Community Research and Development Information Service. So ignore all this. But basically what it is, and I think it's fantastic, it is the memory, the virtual memory of all the projects that have ever received funding by the European Commission. Why is this interesting? This is interesting because you may first of all wonder, are there other entities in my country, for example, in the Philippines, that have successfully joined European research consortia? Maybe I can ask for their advice. Who are, or you could say, who are the countries that, or who are the institutions that are successful at applying for research funding in the area of aging populations, for example, so you can touch base with them. And I want to just show you how this works. So we would look, for example, we want to look at results. And I've just put in here, I want to, you can see I've looked here for Thailand, so I want to find information about Thailand. But actually, to make this easier, sorry, we just look here on the left-hand side. So the program that we're interested in is the current framework program, which is called Horizon 2020. And we want to look for organization country. We want to see, are there researchers and research institutions from, let's say, Malaysia that have participated in Horizon 2020 projects. This is not working because there's Thailand in there, so we just start this again. Oh, why is this not working? Horizon 2020. Malaysia. Okay, then we look not for Malaysia, should be. So I'm clearly doing something wrong here because there's a lot more programs with Malaysian participation. So we just take out Malaysia here and we put in, I don't know, let's put in Brazil. See. This is typical, of course, when you want to demonstrate something, it is not working. So I just go back here. We're going back to all projects, all results. We're going back to program. We're going back to Horizon 2020, to searching. Okay, so just basically, I'll show you something else. I'll show you Marie Curie, because I looked at this earlier on, MSCA IF. And we want to see all the projects that have. So there's clearly something not working with this right now. Sorry, I've experienced problems with CORDIS before. Let me just assure you, normally this is a fabulous tool where you can find outcome and contact details of all projects that have ever received funding from the European Commission, but it's clearly not working right now. So I will just click this away for the time being and continue with our presentation. Now, as I said, the final project that I want to focus on is a particular funding program under Horizon 2020, which are the MSCA. The MSCA, as you may wonder, are standing for Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions. Of course, you know this is the Polish scientist, the famous lady that discovered radiology. And the MSCA are part of Horizon 2020, and you may wonder now, why is she presenting this to us? Horizon 2020 is coming to an end, and as I said earlier, it is going to be succeeded by a new program called Horizon Europe, and that will launch early next year. And my understanding is that Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions will continue in roughly a similar fashion as they have in the previous 7 years. This is really a fabulous opportunity for researchers because it offers funding at PhD level, postdoc level, and it also gives the opportunity for researcher mobility. And I wanted to just zoom in here on this program because from the profiles that I've seen for the people that have registered today, lots of you are interested in PhD and postdoc opportunities. Now, I want to just talk first about the individual fellowships. This is an annual call, as I said. The current call has just closed on the 11th of September, I think, and I really keep my fingers crossed for those of you that have applied. We really hope that we get the numbers up. But as this is an annual call, the next call is likely to open in April or May with a call deadline again in September 2021. Now, you may think, whoa, this is a long time to go, and it's not. This is a call that is a highly prestigious fellowship, very competitive, but a huge career jump for you, and it requires preparation. That's why I'm mentioning this to you right now. This is a funny system here. So what is this? The individual fellowships are personal postdoctoral fellowships. So they are for you as an individual. They're not for your institution or for your team, but they're for you as an individual if you want to gain postdoc research experience in Europe. The funding is between 12 and 24 months at a maximum, and you can do this postdoc experience at an academic or a non-academic institution, meaning you can also work with a company in Europe, or you could work, for example, with a library or with a museum if that is relevant to your research. And it is really a comprehensive career development tool because you don't only, of course, hone your research skills, but you also get career development training, you know, how to present, how to manage a budget, how to work in a team, etc. Which research areas are funded? And I know specifically the humanities and social sciences are worried. This is open to all domains of research. And what makes this interesting, this is a bottom-up fellowship, which means the Commission does not have certain thematic focus areas, but it's really up to you to come up with a research proposal, a good and interesting research proposal, and apply with it. So there's equal distribution amongst the different disciplines when it comes to the funding. Who can apply? As I said, this is open to all nationalities. So you're joining us today, you're not from ASEAN, it does not matter. You can be from any part of the world. It is also open to all academic disciplines, and there's no age or experience limit. So as long as you have a PhD, and as long as you can make a good case for why this fellowship at this particular point in your career is relevant, you have a good chance at being successful. There are certain criteria, of course. So this is a European fellowship, which means you cannot apply for this fellowship and then stay in Malaysia or stay in Thailand or stay in the Philippines. You have to move to Europe. Sorry. The first one also is qualifications. You need to have a PhD, or you need to be a so-called experienced researcher. Now, what does that mean? Experienced researcher basically means you need to have at least 3 years of relevant research experience after you've obtained the qualification that entitles you to read for a PhD. So in most countries, this is a master's by research. Once you have that, and then you also have done 3 years of research, for example, you've worked for a professor, you've worked in a lab, you've worked in a company and done research, you're also eligible. But I have to emphasize, the big majority of successful applicants do actually have a PhD at the time of the deadline. So not when you start writing the application, but when the deadline comes, September 2021, you need to have the PhD. And the second one, as I just said, it's mobility. You need to move. You can't stay in your country. You have to physically move to Europe to carry out the research over there. Where in Europe can you go? You can go pretty much anywhere. You can go to these countries that I earlier introduced as the members of the European Research Area. These are the members of the European Union, the political entity, European Union. You can see all the big players, of course, are there, but also those countries that are associated to the European Research Area, which are the ones on the right. And no country in ASEAN is currently associated with the European Research Area. So these are the ones where you can go, but I think this is a really fantastic, diverse choice for you to pick from. What is unique about this? What is unique is this is a joint effort. So this is important, and this emphasizes again why I'm telling you about this now and not just in February, because you need to reach out to a potential host, a potential supervisor in Europe, and develop the proposal with this institution and with this individual. Now, there's probably questions now, where do I find a potential host? And for all of you that have paid attention, you can, of course, on the Euraxis portal under hosting offers, or if you go to the Euraxis portal and you look to the specific country website, let's say you want to go to Sweden, you contact the colleagues there and you explain to them your ambition and ask for them to support you in finding a potential supervisor. What type of institution can you choose from? I said this at the beginning. This is really up to you. You can pick a university, a research institute, a company, and also you can build a secondment. So you don't have to spend the entire time with one institution. You could also say, you know, 6 months out of this, I want to work with Bosch in Germany. It can be in a different country in Europe because this is particularly relevant to my research. And from experience, I think being able to build in a secondment, ideally also with a host from a different segment, so maybe an industry partner, is most certainly not a disadvantage. Evaluation criteria, just very briefly, because we don't have so much time, but of course, the funder is looking for a good proposal. Don't be too deterred by the word excellence. Yeah, this is not only for future Nobel Prize winners. This is for talented people like yourselves. You need to have a bright idea. If you just want to rehash, your master's and your bachelor's thesis is probably not going to have a good chance. It needs to be an innovative idea. It needs to have impact. And for this, I'm clicking here on the next slide to just give you some idea what this means. Impact means, whatever you are working on needs to be relevant. It needs to be relevant not just to your very specific research area, but it needs to be relevant to society at large. You somehow need to address a question, even if it's just a tiny aspect of it, that, a big question, climate change, aging populations, COVID-19, how to deal with the pandemics, it somehow needs to have a bigger impact. And of course, the third criterion is implementation. But this, I know you're all highly talented individuals. This just refers to having a good Gantt chart, showing in your application that you'll be able to complete in the time that you've been given. And of course, that you're choosing the right partner to do this with. So if you're, for example, have a research proposal in veterinary research and you're choosing a museum as your research partner, it wouldn't really match. So it's all about making sure the funder sees, aha, this is a person that thought about this, and they will come out with good results. That's all that you need to keep in mind. The final question is, this is about evaluation panels. You would, of course, have to pick what panel your research discipline belongs to. And then also there's certain panels related to you. The one that I just wanted to emphasize here, because this affects a lot of people, especially women. You might have had a child and you've not been able to carry out your research, so you have a leave of absence. We have a particular panel for this, the so-called Career Restart panel, where you can submit your application to and you'll be evaluated separately. This is the money that is available here. And just to summarize, this is the current, of course, the current fellowship. This is going to change, but what is not going to change is that this is a very generous fellowship that really allows you to take care of your research and not have to worry about anything else. You see, there's also a family allowance, so of course you can take your spouse and children along with you if you move. Oops. Sorry, IT is fantastic. I really love the internet, but sometimes it doesn't love me back, and I don't know why this is happening right now. It is, of course, happening because it wants to irritate me. Well, if, there we go. This is bizarre. Never mind, we remain undeterred. We just have a sip of tea in times of crisis. And we're back in business. Wonderful. Because, of course, you will ask me now, wait, you lady said at the beginning that this is also about people that don't have a PhD yet. And yes, there are opportunities also for those of you that don't have a PhD yet. There are other funding opportunities besides the individual fellowship, and these are the opportunities that are offered under so-called research consortia that are funded by the European Commission under the MSCA. Now, the project or the funding program that I introduced you to just now is the individual fellowships, which means you apply for your own grant. And what made this so special is that you can apply with any research topic that you have in mind. It's really up to you to come up with a good idea, find a supervisor in Europe, make it happen, apply for it. These fellowships here, and these are both PhD and postdoc fellowships, they're more like job vacancies. So the European Commission also puts money aside to so-called co-fund and ITN projects. Now, ITN means Innovative Training Networks. So these are consortia of different research institutions in Europe, and they, for example, train the next generation of researchers in the field of cancer research. And within this consortium, they will have money set aside to train 30 or 80 or 100 PhD students or postdoctoral researchers. And they will advertise these offers, and you will have guessed it, on the Euraxis jobs portal. So the difference, just to summarize this here, is the fellowship that I introduced you to earlier. There is one call per year with a fixed application deadline, and the onus is on you to come up with an idea and find a supervisor. On the right-hand side, the PhD and postdoc opportunities under these consortia, there are several calls throughout the year. The application is directly with the research consortium according to the vacancy that they are publishing on the Euraxis jobs portal. So lots of opportunities. And of course, you want to keep looking at the Euraxis jobs portal every so often to just see what comes up, and the Euraxis ASEAN page, because I do this for you as well. I scan all these offers and I see which ones are of particular interest to the researchers in Southeast Asia, and I put them on our website as well. Now, where can you find information? Lots of information, lots and lots and lots of information. Of course, on the MSCA website itself, the participant portal, the one that I introduced to you earlier, and of course on the Euraxis ASEAN portal, which is the portal that I'm in charge of. Now, once again, I'm stop sharing my slides now. And this is pretty much what I wanted to show you. Now, don't get confused. I didn't use slides because to use slides would just have taken me about 24 days to put it all together, and it makes a lot more sense to just show the websites themselves. Of course, IT never collaborates, but you know, we're used to that. We just, you know, stay calm and drink a cup of tea. You will receive a few slides nonetheless. The slides will contain the link to the websites and a short summary what you can use them for. The slides will also contain the contact details of myself if you want to reach out to me, but I will also put in, for example, the contact details of these national contact points, which I really think are a fantastic resource for you to reach out to if you need further advice. To summarize, what I've introduced you to is the Euraxis portal. You need to spend some time looking through it, but the information is all there. The jobs are there, the funding is there, information about the different member countries is there, and the contact details for people to help you is there as well. I've shown you the participant portal, the big portal where you find information on the big calls for proposal under currently Horizon 2020, which soon will turn into Horizon Europe. And I've shown you also, you know, you need to read the call. You can look for partners there. You can use the NCP network to reach out and get support. And I showed you CORDIS. Unfortunately, it didn't work so well for me, but trust me, it is a wonderful resource if you want to find out what other projects in my field have received EU funding. Who else from my country has successfully participated in EU-funded projects, so that I could potentially reach out to them, or maybe I can ask them to take me on board as an additional partner. And I've introduced you to the MSCA, the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions, which is a pot of funding dedicated specifically to the career development of researchers, and it offers opportunities for PhD research and postdoctoral research, both in the form of an individual grant just for you with your own research project made up entirely by yourself, or as part of a MSCA consortium, an innovative training network, or a co-funded project where they're looking for researchers with a specific profile. So if you have, just going to look back at the questions to see whether there's anything there that may need urgent attention. Can I have the recording? Yes, of course. As I said, the recording, you will all receive an email from me in a couple of days. So please don't email me immediately if it's not coming straight away. I need to process this first. And then you will all receive an email that contains the recording, which of course you can share with your colleagues. And it will also contain some slides, again, with a summary of what you've heard today. And then I'd be very happy also if you get in touch with me or my colleagues in the other worldwide offices for more information. Is the MSCA funded PhD and Postdoc fellowship applicable for PhD students in ASEAN interested in research attachment in Europe? If you mean just a short-term attachment, then that would not be the program. So the Marie Curie fellowships are really meant for you to carry out your entire PhD or a certain length of time for a postdoc stay in Europe. The program that you might want to look at is the so-called MSCA RISE project, which is known as Research and Innovation Staff Exchange. I haven't included it in the presentation today, but I will put in a slide for you. This is for Jessica Oi Su Ying, and you can then look it up at your own leisure or get in touch with me. If someone has already been awarded an Erasmus Plus fellowship, can they apply for MSCA funding? This is from Rehan Tariq. Yes, of course, they can apply. And his question is also whether this is only for ASEAN citizens. And I said this before, no, this is a fellowship that is open to applicants of all nationalities and all academic disciplines. And you're asking here also, this is Raphael Ng, he's looking at projects with cooperation with civil society institution or with companies. Yes, as I said, the MSCA would be an opportunity because you can choose a host of any sector. So you can work with a civil society institution if that is kind of the research that you're interested in. But you could also go back to the Euraxis Portal that I introduced at the very beginning and look for offers specifically from institutions that you have in mind that you want to work with. So I just look for one more question just to see. Is it possible for a retired professor to be involved? Is it possible for a retired professor to be involved? Yes, I mean, maybe not necessarily. This is Tu Hyang Lian Hing. Maybe not necessarily for a PhD fellowship or postdoc fellowship, but there are other opportunities. I'd encourage you all, once again, look at the Euraxis ASEAN website, maybe every 3 days. I have just posted a call for researchers to be involved as evaluators. This again is a fabulous opportunity to gain some experience. I will make sure, thank you for reminding me of this, I will show I mentioned that in my slides. There is always an open call for researchers of all nationalities and various disciplines to be involved as evaluators for Horizon 2020 projects, for Horizon 2020 funded projects. So a great opportunity to also build a network, but also to get an idea by looking through the proposals, you know, what gets funded and what doesn't get funded. Plus, the exercise, of course, is paid for by the European Commission. So I'll make sure, Professor Hyang, I'll add an additional slide in the presentation about the opportunities to be involved as an evaluator. So one more question. The UK is not included in the host list. So this, of course, is the Brexit question. No, the UK is not going to be or is already not a member of the European Union anymore, and they're currently renegotiating their relationship with the European Union, and of course also with this research program. And I cannot tell you what the outlook is going to be. For the current call, which just closed, the UK was still an eligible host. So we will see researchers go and carry out their MSCA individual fellowship in the UK next year. But what's happening for the call next year, I don't know. My advice is to just keep looking at our website, because as soon as I have the information, I will of course inform everyone. Final question, Rehan Tariq, are there any number of publications required to win an MSCA? This is always one of these questions. The evaluation criteria are, of course, they want someone who has an innovative idea, and they also, of course, looking at someone who can demonstrate that they will be successful. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to have a certain number of publications, although, of course, this is not going to be a disadvantage. But they're looking, you know, they're looking at this, what's the word? You know, they're looking also at other areas. They look at, you know, for example, how active you are in teaching. Have you already been involved in other collaborations? Maybe you have a patent in your name. They're more really looking at your career progression, not necessarily the number of publications, also because it's not fair to compare this between the different disciplines. And they're also just really looking at the case that you're making in the application, how the Marie Curie Fellowship is going to further your career. You need to make a case to say, you know, with this fellowship, I'll be able to move from my current position to become a principal investigator. I'll be able to lead a team. It really takes my career further. This is really, Rehan, that you need to show in your application. Now, for any additional questions, please, once again, keep an eye on the Euraxes ASEAN website, because what I do every year before, about 6 months before the MSCA call, I offer grant writing training. Usually I would do this face-to-face. Hopefully next year we can go back to that. So if this is an opportunity that you're pursuing for yourself, that you think this is interesting, keep an eye on our website and then sign up for one of our proposal writing fellowships. With this, I would like to thank you. Once again, I apologize for the little IT hiccup. Once again, the CORDIS page, it really is wonderful. I'm really sorry that it was such a debacle. Maybe someone else is, you know, using my Wi-Fi next door. It's my neighbors always stealing my Wi-Fi. But anyhow, you will get all the slides. My contact details are there. And with this, I would like to thank you. It was wonderful, you know, talking to you, even though I can't see you. And I hope I'll hear back from many of you. And I wish you a wonderful weekend ahead, and stay safe, everyone. Thank you so much, and goodbye.